Welcome to Williams Mullins COVID-19 Comeback Plan video series. My name is Shane Smith. I'm a partner in Williams Mullins litigation practice with a dotted line, if you will, to our state and local tax practice group. Today I'm going to talk to you about what you can do in Virginia to help ensure your property is assessed properly, particularly in a COVID-19 environment. It is too early to tell what the extent of the impact will be, but there is no doubt there will be an impact. For example, we received information from the Center on Budget Policy and Politics that state budget shortfalls are expected to be $555 billion. That's for all 50 states combined over state fiscal years 2020 through 2022. Now that figure is for state shortfalls only. That does not include the additional shortfalls that local governments are expecting to face. Against this backdrop, for example, the city of Nashville, Tennessee appears to be proposing a 34% property tax increase to address its anticipated budget shortfall. We think you can expect to see Virginia localities take the same approach. We have heard from clients who are owners of income-producing properties reporting efforts by tenants to get out of their leases. Some of these appear to be attributable to businesses who have decided to move to a work-at-home model so they don't need as much or any office space. Many are due to impacts on their businesses being non-essential or otherwise being forced to close or having to close because of the economic impact on their business. Restaurants are a really good example of that. We're hearing of a number of pending commercial transactions that have ground to a halt. All of these things we think point to some serious market corrections in the values of commercial real estate. So that begs the question, are taxing authorities in Virginia doing anything to help soften the COVID-19 impact? Early on, we had heard of one California-based lawyer who was spreading word that Virginia offered relief from property taxes under a disaster relief statute. If you have heard that, you need to put that out of your mind because Virginia has no such statute. That is not an option. We are aware that some localities have extended payment due dates. Some may have waived late penalties. Some are delaying assessment mailings. We are understanding, for example, that the city of Richmond is delaying the mailing of its reassessment notices for commercial properties for several months, trying to allow as much time as possible to understand the potential impacts of COVID-19. Some localities are doing nothing, at least not yet, and if they're planning to do anything, they're not saying so. What can you do to help yourself? Depending on the jurisdiction, you can generally appeal a current plus 3 prior years assessments. That would mean, for example, that if we're in the 2020 tax year in your locality now, you could appeal the 2020, 2019, 2018, and 2017 assessments. There is a caveat to that, though, because if your property is located in a city with a population in excess of 175,000, you will lose your right to appeal any tax year's assessment if you did not give written notice of disagreement with the assessment to the taxing authority during the tax year. So it's important to understand where you're located, the population of the city you're located in, and whether that's a requirement that you have to meet. Depending on the jurisdiction, you may also lose a right to appeal an assessment unless you first appeal to the assessor and the locality's Board of Equalization. Charlottesville is a good example of that. There are maybe other localities in Virginia that impose the same requirement. The only way that you can know that is to go look at the locality's Code of Ordinances. Now, I've mentioned a few times now that your remedies depend on the jurisdiction, so let me expand on that just a little bit. Virginia does not have a real estate tax assessment code. Autonomy is left to localities with some basic general criteria set by statute, and what that means is that if you have properties located in more than one city or county in Virginia, you should not assume that the assessor in City A and the assessor in County B will arrive at your assessments using the same methodology, techniques, or data. You will need to deal with each locality as if it is its own kingdom, because it is. What else can you do to help yourself in Virginia? If you're an owner of income-producing property and have not been responding to the locality's income and expense surveys, you will not be able to use your income and expense information to argue for an assessment correction. You may find some locality somewhere willing to give you a little grace on that, but you should not expect it. And so that's something that you need to really take a serious look at doing to help protect your ability to bring assessments in the future. You also have a right by statute to obtain all the information the taxing authority considered or relied on in arriving at your assessment, and that will go a long way to help figure out whether errors have occurred and whether an appeal is advisable. The point of all this is that navigating the assessment appeal process in Virginia and positioning yourself for an appeal of future tax assessments is not as simple and straightforward as you'd think it seems. That's where we come in. We're here to help. We'd be happy to review your property's assessments and let you know whether we may be able to help reduce your tax burden and obtain refunds or abatements of erroneously assessed properties taxes, even if they're not caused by the COVID-19 impact. We thank you for your time. Please be sure to visit williamsmullen.com for more ideas and best practices. In the coming weeks, we'll be posting a variety of resources to help your business recover during and after the COVID-19 pandemic. If you have any questions about today's tips, please give me a call. Thank you.